Chapter 155. Hold it right there. The Dongi tribe man roared and chased after Lu Ming. I'll send you on your way. Lu Ming, who was sprinting ahead, suddenly stopped and thrust his spear at the Dongi tribe man. This was extremely sudden. The Dongi tribe man thought that Lu Ming was going to rush to the light door with all his might, but he did not expect to see him coming back. In a hurry, the Dongi tribe man slashed out with his saber to block the attack. Explode. Lu Ming whispered in a cold voice. His sprinting was fake. His real intention was to accumulate power. Boom. Violent energy exploded from the tip of the spear and blasted towards the Dongi tribe man. In a hurry, the Dongi tribe man could not block it at all. He spat out a mouthful of blood and was thrown back. Chasing lightning. Whoosh. Lu Ming cast Chasing Thunder. Coupled with the high air steps, he was even faster. The spear pierced through the Dongi tribe man's throat. Devour. Lu Ming controlled his bloodline and devoured the Dongi tribe man's blood essence in an instant. The Dongi tribe man was a 4th grade martial master. The essence of his blood essence was extremely rich and was constantly being refined by the devouring spirit bloodline to replenish the true qi he had used to execute explode. Lu Ming did not stop and ran towards the light door. At this time, many Mystic Essence Sword Sect disciples had already rushed in. Stop him. A few martial master 1st grade and 2nd grade martial masters wanted to stop him, but Lu Ming's spear swept out and they coughed out blood and flew back. In a few breaths, Lu Ming was close to the light door. Lu Ming, save me. Suddenly, a cry for help came from behind. Lu Ming turned around and saw that it was Du Feng. He was surrounded by a few experts from the Dongi tribe. You should deal with it yourself. Lu Ming smiled as he turned around and walked towards the light door. Behind him, Du Feng's roar of despair could be heard. The moment he stepped through the door, the world spun around him. When he recovered, Lu Ming found himself standing on a piece of gravel. Behind him was a stone wall, and on the stone wall, there was another door of light, exactly the same as the previous door. The only difference was that the surroundings had changed. Kill. A blade light rushed towards Lu Ming, but Lu Ming brandished his long spear and blocked the blade light. All around, there were still shouts of killing. The disciples of the Mystic Essence Sword Sect rushed in, but so did the experts of the Dongi tribe. Charge forward, we'll charge towards the forest in front of us. As long as we get into the forest, we won't be afraid of them. A disciple of the Mystic Essence Sword Sect who was in the 4th layer of the Martial Grandmaster realm shouted. Let's go, we'll bring up the rear. Chen Quan shouted. You want to leave? All of you, stay here. The 2 5th level Martial Grandmasters of the Dongi tribe attacked with all their might. The 5 4th level Martial Grandmasters of the Mystic Essence Sword Sect resisted with all their might, buying time for the others. Although the competition between the 4 great schools was fierce, and it was normal for them to fight each other, they were all disciples of the Mystic Essence Sword Sect. At this moment of life and death, they knew that only by working together would they have a chance to survive. If they fought separately, only death would await them. Rumble. The true qi in Lu Ming's body was surging. The blood essence of the 4th level Martial Grandmaster was constantly being refined, turning into turbulent energy that poured into Lu Ming's body. It was constantly being converted into true qi by Lu Ming. The true qi that Lu Ming had used to explode just now was recovered in a few breaths. The remaining majestic energy was helping Lu Ming to break through to the next realm. Lu Ming fought while breaking through to the next realm. Bang! A 2nd level Martial Grandmaster of the Dongi tribe was shaken by Lu Ming to the point that he coughed up blood and almost exploded. At the same time, Lu Ming's body trembled and his cultivation broke through to the mid-stage of the 1st level Martial Grandmaster. The blood essence of a 4th level Martial Grandmaster was too thick. It was at least equal to the blood essence of 70 or 80 1st level Martial Grandmasters. Lu Ming's cultivation was still rapidly increasing. Boom. Boom. Lu Ming brandished his long spear and dashed toward Chen Quan and the rest at full speed. Little bastard, I'll kill you. An elder from the Dongi tribe charged toward Lu Ming. He was also a 4th level martial master. Boom. However, he was forced to retreat after exchanging a blow with Lu Ming. So strong. The Dongi tribe elder was shocked. Explode. Since he had a lot of true qi in his body, Lu Ming was not afraid of wasting it. He used another explode. With the breakthrough in his cultivation, this move was even more powerful. One of the Dongi tribe elder's arms was blown off and he almost died. He wanted to retreat in fear, but Lu Ming was faster. He stabbed him with his spear and at the same time, controlled his bloodline and devoured his blood essence. Kill him first. A 5th-level martial grandmaster of the Dongi tribe was furious and rushed toward Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming used the high steps and did not want to be entangled with him. In a few flashes, he dashed to the side of Chen Quan and the rest. Landslide. Lu Ming jumped high and smashed his long spear toward another 5th-level martial grandmaster of the Dongi tribe. Boom. There was an earth-shattering explosion and Lu Ming's body drifted backward from the impact. Run. After being blocked by Lu Ming, Chen Quan and the others finally escaped and ran toward the forest. Similarly, Lu Ming did not continue fighting. He ran toward the forest. Chase, chase. The Dongi tribe roared. More than 100 people continued to chase after Lu Ming and the others. In just 5 minutes, Lu Ming and the others arrived at the forest. In the forest, ancient trees towered into the sky and old vines curled around. It was a scene of a primitive forest. The other disciples of the Mystic Essence Sword sect had already rushed in. Lu Ming and the others did not hesitate and rushed in as well. Whoosh, whoosh. Running in the dense forest made it easy for them to hide. At the same time, the other party could not form an encirclement very well. Damn it! The Dongi tribe stopped in front of the forest and did not continue the chase. The battle strength of the Mystic Essence Sword sect's disciples was extremely shocking. They had a lot of methods. Just now, the 2 5th-level martial master experts had joined forces, along with a few 4th-level martial master experts, but they were unable to kill the 5 4th-level martial master youths. They only managed to injure a few of them. In the end, a 4th-level martial grandmaster was killed by a 1st-level martial grandmaster. This made them extremely frightened. It could be said that the Mystic Essence Sword sect's strength was not much weaker than theirs. If they rushed into the forest, they would probably be ambushed. Let's ignore them for now. Let's find the treasure left behind by our ancestors and quickly leave this place. Once we hide in the depths of the coastal mountains, the Mystic Essence Sword sect will not be able to do anything to us. A 5th-level martial grandmaster elder suggested. Okay, let's do that. After the discussion, they left and headed deeper into the mountains. In the forest, Lu Ming and the others ran quickly. After running for about 10 miles, they stopped. It seems that the Dongi tribe did not chase after us. Chen Quan exhaled. His face was a little pale. Obviously, he had been injured in the battle just now. The others were not in a good state either. They had more or less suffered some injuries. After all, the other party had 2 5th-level martial grandmasters. It was already good that they could hold them back for a short period of time. At this time, the surrounding Mystic Essence Sword sect disciples slowly gathered. In the end, they found that there were only 61 people left. When they came, there were 102 people. Chapter 156. They had lost 41 people in this battle. These were all silver-ranked disciples, martial grand masters. Even for a large sect like the Mystic Essence Sword sect, losing 41 martial grand masters was a great loss. None of them spoke a word. After waiting for a dozen or so minutes, Chen Quan and the others relaxed when they saw that the Dongi tribe hadn't chased after them. They each found a place to recuperate. Lu Ming also flew up to a big tree. He circulated the true dragon fighting art and began to refine the blood essence that he had just devoured. He had devoured the essence blood of 2 4th-level martial grand masters. The essence blood of 2 4th-level martial grand masters contained an unimaginable amount of energy. It was equivalent to the essence blood of 150 1st-level martial grand masters. Such a large amount of essence blood could not be refined in a short time. Hoo-hoo, the spirit-devouring bloodline seemed to be breathing. Every time it exhaled, a large amount of energy would enter Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's cultivation increased rapidly. Peak of the mid-stage of the 1st-level martial grand master, late stage of the first-level martial grandmaster. After 2 hours, Lu Ming had refined all the essence blood and turned it into his true qi. Lu Ming's cultivation had reached the peak of the first-level martial grandmaster. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. This was equivalent to the essence blood of 150 first-level martial grandmasters. In other words, the essence blood of 150 first-level martial grandmasters was not enough for him to break through to the next level. It was only enough for him to reach the peak of the first-level martial grandmaster. The third level of the true dragon art required too much energy to raise one's cultivation. It was dozens of times more than an ordinary person. He did not know how much energy he would need to raise his cultivation to the 4th, 5th, or even the 8th or 9th level. Thinking of this, Lu Ming could only smile bitterly. He shook his head and cast these thoughts aside. It was useless to think so far ahead. Lu Ming stopped and jumped down from the tree. Junior brother Lu Ming. Chen Quan saw Lu Ming and called out. His complexion was better than before. It was obvious that he had recovered a lot after healing. Beside him were 4th-level martial grandmasters from the other 3 academies. The few of them gathered together and seemed to be discussing something. Lu Ming walked over. What is this place? Just now, I heard the Dongyi people shouting something about ancestral ruins. The 4th-level martial master of the Black Tortoise Academy, named Sun Ruo, said with a frown. I once read about it in an ancient book. Legend has it that a long time ago, at least 10,000 years ago, the Burning Sun Empire was ruled by the Eastern barbarians. Chen Quan pondered for a moment and said, What? The Burning Sun Empire was once ruled by the Eastern barbarians? The rest of the group was shocked. The Eastern barbarians were just a small tribe in the mountains near the sea. They only had a population of a few million. How could they possibly rule over the vast territory of the Burning Sun Empire? Chen Quan thought for a moment and said, That is indeed what is recorded in the records. It is said that the Eastern barbarians were very powerful in the past. They ruled not only the Burning Sun Empire, but also a few empires near the Burning Sun Empire. They were extremely powerful. The few of them were extremely shocked. It was obvious that this was the first time they had heard of such a story. Unfortunately, in the end, they still fell apart. After tens of thousands of years, the Dongyi tribe has completely declined and become a small tribe. Chen Quan sighed. No matter how powerful a force was, it could not withstand the erosion of time. It was only a matter of time before it declined. In that case, this should be the ruins left behind by the Dongyi tribe. The eyes of a young man from the White Tiger Hall suddenly lit up. The others did the same. This place was filled with mountains and forests and was full of vitality. It was very likely that this was a small realm. It was not difficult to guess that this was probably left behind by the experts of the Dongyi tribe. Since the Dongyi tribe was so powerful in the past, what kind of treasures would they leave behind in this small realm? Fortuitous encounter, fortuitous encounter. The few of them roared in their hearts. At the same time, their eyes lit up. Junior brothers, since the Dongyi tribe is not chasing after us, there is no danger for the time being. I think we should split up. A young man from the White Tiger Hall suggested. I agree. The young experts from the Azure Dragon Hall agreed. If they moved together, how would they split the treasures and opportunities that they encountered? Naturally, everyone began to make plans. All right, then it's decided. In the end, they made up their minds to split up and search for their own opportunities. Whoosh, whoosh. Very quickly, the disciples of the 4 great academies split into 2s and 3s, each of them choosing a direction and disappearing into the mountain forest. Junior brother Lu Ming, do you want to move together? Chen Quan looked at Lu Ming. Lu Ming shook his head and said with a smile, No, I'd better go by myself. Then, Junior brother Lu, take care. Chen Quan cupped his fists and left with the others. Soon, Lu Ming was the only one left. Lu Ming pondered for a while. Then, he moved and headed out of the forest. Soon, he was out of the forest. He looked at the footprints on the ground and chased after the Dongyi tribe. Since this was a ruin left behind by the ancestors of the Dongyi tribe must know a lot about it. Instead of searching around like a headless fly, It would be better to follow the Dongi tribe and rob them along the way. Wouldn't that be better? Lu Ming used the airborne steps and moved like a gust of wind. He was extremely fast. A plane was actually a world. However, the laws of heaven and earth in this world were not complete and had all kinds of flaws. Moreover, it was not very big. That was why it was called a plane. According to its size, a plane was divided into small, medium, and large planes. Now, this plane was only a small plane. However, it was small compared to the divine wilderness continent. In fact, this plane was no less than a few thousand miles wide. Lu Ming ran for over 1,000 miles before he finally heard some movement. There was the sound of a great battle ahead. Lu Ming did not stop and headed in the direction of the sound. Soon, a dilapidated palace appeared in front of Lu Ming. It was obvious that the palace was very large and occupied a large area. However, it had been there for too long and was very dilapidated. Many places had collapsed. At this moment, there was an intense battle at the entrance of the palace. More than a dozen Dongi tribe members were fighting 8 monsters. Lu Ming could tell at a glance that the Dongi tribe members were all martial grandmasters. Among them, there were 2 4th-grade martial grandmasters and 4 3rd-grade martial grandmasters. However, even with so many experts, they only had a slight advantage over the 8 monsters. This was because the 8 monsters were very abnormal. The 8 monsters had shed their hair, revealing their skinny muscles that seemed to be filled with a metallic luster. Every monster's eyes were bloodshot, and they roared in a low voice. They didn't care about their own lives as they pounced on the Dongi experts. Chapter 157. These are demonic corpse puppets, refined by our ancestors. They are fearless and only know how to attack. Their bodies are as hard as steel and invulnerable. Their only weakness is their eyes. Attack their eyes. An elder of the Dongi tribe shouted. Kill. Kill. Led by 2 4th-grade martial grandmasters, more than a dozen Dongi experts attacked the eyes of the 8 demonic corpse puppets with all their might. Roar. Soon, the eyes of one of the demonic beasts were shattered. It roared and fell to the ground. After finding a way, the Dongi experts worked together and defeated the 8 demonic beasts one by one. Let's go in. If I'm not wrong, this must be a very important place. An old man from the Dongi tribe shouted excitedly. More than a dozen Dongi tribesmen rushed inside excitedly. After the Dongi experts left, Lu Ming appeared and followed them into the palace. Lu Ming's footsteps landed silently. He followed the Dongi experts a dozen meters behind, holding his breath. The Dongi experts did not notice him at all. After passing through many courtyards, they arrived at a large hall in the middle. From afar, they could see the door of the hall open, revealing the bookshelves in the hall. Haha, this is the library. There must be secret manuals here. This is great. There is hope for the revival of the Dongi tribe. An old man from the Dongi tribe shouted excitedly. The Dongi experts were so excited that they were about to rush into the hall. Roar! Roar! 2 huge demonic beasts rushed out of the hall, emitting a murderous aura. They were as fast as lightning. 2 cries of agony rang out as the 2 Dongi men were torn in half by the 2 demonic beasts. Blood and organs splattered everywhere. More demonic corpse puppets. Be careful. With a roar, 2 4th-grade martial grandmasters pounced on the 2 demonic beasts. The 2 demonic beasts were hairless, but their muscles were as hard as metal. Die, evil beast! The 2 elders roared and slashed at the eyes of the 2 demonic beasts with their swords. However, these 2 demonic corpse puppets were obviously stronger than the previous ones. They reached out their claws and blocked the swords. The demonic corpse puppets roared and charged at the Dongi experts with a murderous aura. They were not afraid of death. Bang! Bang! Several of the Dongi tribe's 1st realm and 2nd realm martial grandmasters were sent flying by the demonic beasts. Only those who were 3rd realm martial grandmasters and above could fight head-on. For a time, the Dongi tribe and the 2 demonic beasts were locked in a fierce battle. At that instant, a figure silently passed by the crowd like a gust of wind and charged into the hall. Who? Damn it! Stop right there. A fourth-level martial master elder roared as a sharp saber light slashed towards the figure. This figure was, of course, Lu Ming. Of course, he would not let go of such an opportunity. Clang! The long spear swept out and blocked the old man's saber. Lu Ming borrowed the momentum and rushed into the hall even faster. You guys have fun, I'll be leaving first. Lu Ming laughed loudly and leaped into the main hall. The Dongi tribe roared angrily. You guys rush in and kill that little bastard. We'll block these two demonic corpse devil puppets. Two fourth-level martial grandmasters roared as they activated their bloodline and blocked the two demonic corpse devil puppets with all their strength. The others took the opportunity to rush into the hall. Little bastard, go to hell. A third-level martial grandmaster roared as his killing intent surged. His saber carried a rolling saber light and swept towards Lu Ming. Whoosh! However, what greeted him was a lightning-like spear light. Poochie! Blood splattered everywhere as Lu Ming's spear pierced through the man's heart. A third-level martial grandmaster was easily killed by Lu Ming. Then, the long spear swept out and the two second-level martial grandmasters were sent flying. They were no longer breathing. In the blink of an eye, 3 experts had been killed. Retreat! The others turned pale with fright and hurriedly retreated. Let's kill these two demonic beasts together and then kill that little bastard. He can't escape. A fourth-level martial grandmaster elder roared. The Dongi tribe fought against the two demonic beasts with all their strength. In the hall, Lu Ming's eyes lit up as he looked around. There were more than 10 bookshelves in the hall. Lu Ming glanced at them and revealed a disappointed expression. Most of the bookshelves were empty. How could there be any secret manuals? They were probably taken away by the Dongi tribe back then. Hey, there's a box over there. Lu Ming saw a black box in an inconspicuous corner of the hall. Lu Ming's eyes lit up as he hurriedly walked over. The box was made of some unknown metal. It was black and rusty. Lu Ming's true chi surged out and the box opened. Immediately, stacks of books appeared in front of Lu Ming. There were more than 10 of them. Lu Ming's eyes lit up as he quickly picked up a book. These secret manuals were obviously not made of ordinary paper. They were made of an unknown material that was extremely tough. After so many years, they were still intact. He opened it and saw that it was a sword technique. Tiger Raw sword technique, superior yellow-level martial technique. The words inside were revealed. It's only a superior yellow-level martial technique. Lu Ming was slightly disappointed as he flipped through the other secret manuals. Most of these secret manuals were yellow-level martial techniques. There were a total of 32 books. Among them, there were 20 inferior yellow-level martial techniques and 10 superior yellow-level martial techniques. There were only 2 inferior black-level martial techniques, and they were both saber techniques. Lu Ming could not use them at all. Lu Ming was greatly disappointed. No wonder they were placed in a box in a corner and were not taken away. They must have been thrown here like trash. Lu Ming shook his head with a bitter smile. Am I being too greedy? These secret manuals, although of low level, can be sold for at least tens of millions of silver taels. Lu Ming's eyes lit up as he thought about it. If these secret manuals were exchanged for contribution points in the contribution hall, they would be worth at least a few 100,000 contribution points. This was already a huge gain. With a thought, Lu Ming kept all the secret manuals in the Temple of Paragon. Little bastard, hand over the secret manuals, or die. At that moment, the Dongi tribesmen had finally killed the 2 demonic corpse puppets and rushed into the main hall. When they saw the empty bookshelves, their eyes turned red as they looked at Lu Ming with burning desire. The bookshelves were empty, so Lu Ming must have taken them. Lu Ming did not bother to explain. He sneered and said, I didn't want to fight with you just now. Do you really think I'm afraid of you? Bam! Lu Ming took a step forward and rushed toward the Dongi tribesman like the wind. Kill him! The Dongi tribesmen roared and charged toward Lu Ming. Led by 2 4th-grade martial masters, there were 10 of them working together. It was a terrifying sight. Lu Ming moved and dodged the front. In a flash, he appeared at the side. Fire dance. Flowers of flame appeared. When the flowers of flame dissipated, 3 of the Dorngi tribesmen fell to the ground. Their throats had been pierced by spears. Kill. Chapter 158. Whoosh. Lu Ming swept out with his spear. True Qi burst out, shattering all the rubble and debris in the air. However, the 2 old men did not stop there. They continued to slash at Lu Ming. Lu Ming held the long spear in his hand and placed it in front of him. Clang. The 2 old men's sabers slashed at Lu Ming's spear, causing a shocking shockwave. Lu Ming's expression changed. His body trembled as he staggered back. He can't hold on any longer. Kill him. The 2 old men were overjoyed when they saw that Lu Ming was forced back. They attacked Lu Ming even more desperately. The remaining 5 Dorngi tribesmen roared furiously and charged toward Lu Ming. For a moment, Lu Ming was attacked from all directions. He seemed to be at a disadvantage and kept retreating. Soon, he retreated to a corner near the exit. Kill him and all the secret manuals here will be ours. Our Dorngi tribe will rise. A 4th-level martial master old man shouted excitedly. The other Dorngi people were also excited. At this moment, a sharp sound broke through the air from the door beam above them. A sword light quickly pierced toward Lu Ming's back. This sword light was fast, accurate, ruthless, and extremely powerful. This was because its owner was a 4th-level martial master expert and a genius of the White Tiger Hall. That's right. The person who launched the sneak attack was one of the 2 4th-level martial masters from the White Tiger Hall. He had been hiding on the door beam since an unknown time. Go to hell, Lu Ming. Don't blame me. Blame yourself for offending the Duanmu clan. As long as I kill you, the Duanmu clan will definitely put me in an important position. A cold and vicious light flashed in the eyes of the young expert from the White Tiger Hall. It was as if he could already see Lu Ming dying at his hands. The Duanmu clan controlled the White Tiger Hall. Most of the disciples who joined the White Tiger Hall chose to rely on the Duanmu clan. Only by relying on the Duanmu clan could they obtain better cultivation resources. Of course, a pervert like Ling Kong who had a strong backing was an exception. But at this moment, he suddenly saw Lu Ming's lips curl into a smile. That kind of smile gave off the feeling that some kind of scheme had succeeded. Sure enough, he has made a move. Good, let's get rid of him together. The corners of Lu Ming's mouth curled into a sneer, and his eyes flashed with killing intent. He hadn't used his full strength in the battle with the Dorngi tribe. Otherwise, with his cultivation at the peak of the 1st layer of the martial master realm, he would not have been forced into such a sorry state by 2 4th-layer martial masters and 5 3rd and 2nd-layer martial masters. Everything that happened just now was just an act. In fact, the young man from the White Tiger Hall had followed the Dorngi tribe in. Lu Ming had noticed him as soon as he entered. However, he didn't say anything because he could sense the killing intent of the young man from the White Tiger Hall. Therefore, he pretended that he was no match for his opponent and was completely at a disadvantage. He even sent himself in front of his opponent in order to lure his opponent into attacking him. As expected, the young man from the White Tiger Hall fell into his trap. He thought that he saw a good opportunity and decisively attacked, wanting to kill Lu Ming. However, all of this was within Lu Ming's expectations. Boom! At this moment, Lu Ming's bloodline erupted, and Lu Ming's aura skyrocketed. At the same time, the true qi in his body erupted. Moon seizing. Lu Ming didn't even look at the young man from the White Tiger Hall. He held the end of his spear and swept it out. Buzz! The long spear swept past the sabers of the Dorngi tribe with a terrifying aura. The Dorngi tribe's bodies shook violently, and they quickly retreated with a groan. Lu Ming's long spear didn't stop, and he continued to sweep it towards the young man from the White Tiger Hall. How can this be? The young man from the White Tiger Hall's pupils contracted rapidly. He had charged at Lu Ming with all his might, and it was too late for him to retreat now. He could only grit his teeth and unleash his full strength. The long sword in his hand emitted a powerful sword qi, and he attacked Lu Ming. Boom! However, Lu Ming's long spear easily destroyed his opponent's sword qi. At the same time, the long spear bent in an arc and heavily struck the young man from the White Tiger Hall. Crack! The sound of bones breaking could be heard. The young man from the White Tiger Hall screamed in agony and his body was sent flying. He coughed out large mouthfuls of blood in the air. Die. Lu Ming stomped his foot on the ground, and his body spun rapidly as he flew backward. The long spear in his hand spun rapidly and stabbed at the young man from the White Tiger Hall. Junior brother Lu Ming, don't. The young man from the White Tiger Hall was horrified and he screamed in fear. However, the long spear didn't stop. Poof! The long spear pierced the young man's heart and lifted him into the air. Lu Ming. Lu Ming, you're so cruel. The young man from the White Tiger Hall glared at Lu Ming with resentment. If you didn't want to kill me, you wouldn't have been killed by my spear. You asked for it. Lu Ming said indifferently. If the young man didn't want to kill him, he wouldn't have been killed by Lu Ming in 2 moves. After all, the young man was a genius from the White Tiger Hall and his combat strength wasn't weak. The young man from the White Tiger Hall was unwilling to accept his defeat. The vitality in his body gradually dissipated. Oh no, he was hiding his strength. Retreat. The Dongi tribesmen were terrified. One of the elders shouted. He clearly saw that the person who launched the sneak attack was a Realm 4 martial master. However, he was killed by Lu Ming in an instant. Lu Ming's strength was too terrifying. It's too late for you to leave now. Lu Ming controlled his bloodline and devoured the essence blood of the young man from the White Tiger Hall. Then, his body flashed and he charged toward the Dongi tribesmen. You guys leave quickly. I'll stop him. An elder from the Dongi tribesmen shouted angrily and turned around to attack Lu Ming. Explode. Lu Ming didn't hesitate to use his strongest move. At this moment, he was in the bloodline eruption stage. When he used the explode move, its power was extremely terrifying. The elder from the Dongi tribesmen didn't even have time to scream before half of his body exploded. Whoosh whoosh, at this moment, Lu Ming's aura dropped rapidly. The time for the bloodline eruption was up. The remaining Dongi tribesmen were even more terrified and ran for their lives. Lu Ming stopped and didn't chase after them. The time for the bloodline eruption had passed and his combat strength had weakened. Even if he chased after them, he wouldn't be able to kill them all. Lu Ming immediately devoured the essence blood of the dead Dongi tribesmen. Not only that, but he also obtained 5 storage rings. As a martial master, it was normal for him to have a storage ring. It could be said that a storage ring was the standard of a martial Grand Master. If a martial Grand Master did not even have a storage ring, then he would be in a miserable state. After putting away the storage rings, Lu Ming moved and left the main hall. After a few breaths, Lu Ming appeared in a small room in the main hall. Lu Ming entered the Temple of Paragon and prepared to refine the essence blood. However, Lu Ming's expression suddenly changed. He realized that the chanting sound had disappeared. In the depths of the Temple of Paragon, there was a strange chanting sound. Under this chanting sound, Lu Ming's mind was exceptionally clear and he was able to comprehend martial techniques at a rapid pace. Chapter 159. Ever since Lu Ming had obtained the Temple of Paragon, the chanting had accompanied Lu Ming for more than a year. The reason why Lu Ming could rise so quickly was because of the chanting. Although Lu Ming did not know where the chanting came from, he seemed to have gotten used to it. As long as he wanted to comprehend martial techniques, he would enter the Temple of Paragon and comprehend martial techniques while listening to the chanting. When did it disappear? Lu Ming furrowed his brows. Is it because I broke through to the martial Grandmaster realm? Lu Ming thought. Speaking of which, Lu Ming had not entered the Temple of Paragon ever since he had broken through to the martial Grandmaster realm. After breaking through, Lu Ming had accepted the mission to exterminate the Dongi tribe and rushed to Dongqiu City through the night. After arriving at Dongqiu City, Lu Ming had stayed in the military camp for the first few days. Since there were so many people, Lu Ming naturally did not enter the Temple of Paragon. After that, the Dongi tribe attacked the city. In order to pursue the Dongi tribe, he had come to this plain. During this process, Lu Ming had not entered the Temple of Paragon even once. Now that he thought about it, it was most likely because he had broken through to the martial Grandmaster realm. As expected, it still disappeared. After a while, Lu Ming shook his head and sighed. In fact, He had already expected this result. Since the chanting had such a magical effect and was constantly emitting without stopping, regardless of whether it was man-made or some kind of array, it needed energy. And the energy would eventually be used up. Once it was used up, it would stop. However, he had not expected it to happen after he had broken through to the martial Grandmaster realm. So what if there is no chanting? I, Lu Ming, will still be able to rise and comprehend martial techniques quickly. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with determination. Then, he stopped thinking about it and started to refine the essence blood. This time, there were 2 first-layer martial grandmasters, 1 second-layer martial grandmaster, and 2 fourth-layer martial grandmasters. The blood chi essence was incomparably majestic. The huge amount of essence was converted into Jin Qi. Within his dantian, the cyclone spun faster and faster, and the Jin Qi grew stronger and stronger. Lu Ming began to break through to the second layer of the martial master realm. 3 hours later, a strong aura suddenly erupted from Lu Ming's body. However, in the blink of an eye, this aura was concealed, and Lu Ming opened his eyes. Second layer of martial master, breakthrough. A smile appeared on Lu Ming's face. In total, Lu Ming had swallowed the blood essence of 4 fourth-layer martial masters and a few second-layer and first-layer martial masters. Only then did he break through to the second-layer martial master realm. The amount of energy needed was truly terrifying. However, Lu Ming's bloodline level did not increase. It was still at level 5. It was getting harder and harder to raise the rank of his bloodline. But as long as he could improve, no matter how difficult it was, Lu Ming was confident that he could continue to improve. Now that my cultivation has broken through to the second-layer martial grandmaster realm, if I meet the 2 fifth-layer martial grandmasters of the Dongi tribe again, I have no fear. I can even kill them. A confident smile appeared on Lu Ming's face. Let's see what's in their storage rings. Lu Ming moved his hand and 5 storage rings appeared. These were all storage rings of the martial grandmasters. Lu Ming was looking forward to them. First, there was a first-layer martial grandmaster realm storage ring. The storage ring was very ordinary and could be considered the lowest grade storage ring. However, the items inside still made Lu Ming pleasantly surprised. Spiritual crystals, a whole box of spiritual crystals, there were at least 1,000 pieces. Every piece of spiritual crystal was milky white and emitted a dense spiritual qi. The box was neatly placed. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Spiritual crystals could only be used by warriors above the martial grandmaster realm because they were filled with dense spiritual qi of heaven and earth. Because this spiritual qi was gathered together, it was extremely ferocious and overbearing. If warriors below the martial grandmaster realm used it to cultivate, they would easily explode and die. Spiritual crystals were the currency used by warriors above the martial grandmaster realm. Spiritual crystals were mainly divided into 4 grades: lower spiritual crystal, middle spiritual crystal, upper spiritual crystal and supreme spiritual crystal. A piece of lower spiritual crystal was worth 10,000 taels of silver. The spiritual crystals of the first-layer martial grandmaster realm warrior were all lower spiritual crystals. 1,000 of them were worth 10 million taels of silver. This was a huge fortune. Lu Ming was naturally pleasantly surprised. The Dongi tribe lived in the depths of the coastal mountains. They must have found spiritual crystal veins. They are indeed rich. Lu Ming sighed and looked forward to the remaining storage rings even more. A first-layer martial grandmaster already had 1,000 spiritual crystals. What about a second-layer martial grandmaster or a fourth-layer martial grandmaster? In addition to the spiritual crystals, there were a few spiritual weapons in this storage ring. They were all level 2 and were not particularly precious. After tidying up, Lu Ming looked at the next storage ring. This storage ring was also left behind by a first-layer martial grandmaster from the Dongi tribe. Inside, there was another box of spiritual crystals. There were a total of 1,200 pieces, more than the previous one. Lu Ming was even more delighted and continued to look. The next storage ring was left behind by a second-layer martial grandmaster. It did not disappoint Lu Ming. 3,000 pieces, a total of 3,000 pieces. Lu Ming's heart had already begun to tremble. He could not wait to look at the storage ring of the last 4th level martial artist. This storage ring was several times larger than the previous storage rings. Inside, there were several boxes. Lu Ming opened it and his eyelids twitched. Spiritual crystals, they were all spiritual crystals. They were neatly arranged in rows. Lu Ming hurriedly counted. There were more than 11,000 pieces, all of which were lower spiritual crystals. Lu Ming sucked in a breath of cold air. Then, he was ecstatic. The Dongi tribe must have found a spiritual crystal mine in the depths of the coastal mountain range. Otherwise, how could there be so many spiritual crystals? Normally, martial artists at the 1st, 2nd, or even 4th level of the martial grandmaster realm would rarely have so many spirit crystals on them. This was because martial grandmasters needed spirit crystals to cultivate. Even if they had spirit crystals, they would have already been used up. How could they have so many? The 4 Dongi tribe warriors had a total of 16,200 spiritual crystals. In terms of silver, it was more than 160 million taels of silver. What kind of enormous wealth was this? Haha, if these spiritual crystals were exchanged for contribution points, it would be enough for me to use for a while. Lu Ming could not help but laugh. Finally, Lu Ming looked at the storage ring of the young man from the White Tiger Hall. Sure enough, Lu Ming was disappointed. He was obviously a 4th layer martial grandmaster. In the storage ring, there were only a few spiritual weapons, some healing and cultivation elixirs. There were only more than 100 spiritual crystals and 3 million taels of silver. His wealth was not even comparable to a 1st layer martial grandmaster from the Dongi tribe. Needless to say, the disciples of the Mystic Essence Sword sect must have exchanged their wealth for contribution points. If I snatch all the storage rings from the Dongi tribe, how many spiritual crystals would I have? Lu Ming's eyes shone with hope. Chapter 160. Now that my cultivation has reached the martial grandmaster realm, I wonder if I can go up to the 3rd platform? With this thought, Lu Ming's gaze turned to the 3rd platform after the 99th step. That platform was empty except for a stone platform. Previously, Lu Ming had been unable to go up. Now that the chanting sound had disappeared, would he be able to ascend to the 3rd platform? Lu Ming stood up and walked towards the 3rd platform. Soon, he arrived at the 99th step. With one step, Lu Ming stepped onto the 3rd platform without any hindrance. Sure enough, I'm up. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. There was a box on each of the first 2 platforms, which was of great help to Lu Ming. However, this platform was empty. What help could there be? Lu Ming looked around and walked around, but he didn't find anything. Finally, he came to the stone platform. It was a very ordinary square stone platform. However, there was a pit in the middle of the stone platform, which looked a little special. What's this for? Is it an array base? Or is it? Lu Ming looked carefully, but he still couldn't figure it out. This pit is similar to the size of the spiritual crystal. Lu Ming pondered. Then, his palm glowed and a spiritual crystal appeared in his hand. He wanted to try and put the spiritual crystal into the pit. Unexpectedly, as soon as he got close, a strong suction force came from the pit. The spiritual crystal in Lu Ming's hand flew out and into the pit. In the blink of an eye, it disappeared into the pit. Buzz. Then, the pit shook slightly and a hazy light was emitted. However, the light only flashed and disappeared. Then, it fell silent and there was no movement. What's going on? There was clearly movement just now. Could it be that I don't have enough spiritual crystals? If so, I'll continue to add. Lu Ming pondered and immediately took out another piece of spirit crystal. It was also sucked into the pit by the suction force. However, just like before, a light flashed on the stone platform and disappeared. Lu Ming continued to add spiritual crystals. 3, 4, 8, 9. When the 9th piece was added, a bright light shot up into the sky from the stone platform. Around the stone platform, mysterious inscriptions appeared. These inscriptions continued to spread until they covered the entire platform. Finally, a figure condensed on one side of the platform. The face of this figure could not be seen clearly as it stood there with a straight back. Condense a human figure? What is it for? Lu Ming was astonished and walked over. Let's do it, fight me. The figure suddenly spoke. Lu Ming was stunned. He couldn't see the face of this figure. It could be said that it was formed from energy, but it could actually speak. Fight with you? Lu Ming asked. Let's do it, fight me. The figure repeated the previous sentence without the slightest emotion. So it doesn't have any intelligence. Lu Ming heaved a sigh of relief. Then, his eyes flickered. After thinking for a while, he suddenly threw out a punch. The Temple of Paragon was extremely mysterious. There must be a reason why he should give it a try since the other party had asked for it. Boom! Lu Ming used the Flame Dragon Fist. However, what shocked Lu Ming was that the other party also threw out a punch at the same time. It was the Flame Dragon Fist. Boom! When the two fists collided, Lu Ming felt a scorching hot true qi surging toward him. He couldn't help but take 3 steps back. When he looked again, the other party had also taken 3 steps back. The True Dragon of Combat Art. The other party is also using the True Dragon of Combat Art. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with horror. Martial techniques could be imitated, but how could one imitate cultivation techniques? However, the other party was really using the True Dragon of Combat Art. Lu Ming could not be wrong. Let's try again. Lu Ming threw out a few punches, but the other party also threw out a few punches. They were all using the Flame Dragon Fist. The two of them exchanged a few punches and then took a few steps back. There's no mistake. It's really the True Dragon of Combat Art. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with disbelief. He felt that fighting with the other party was like fighting with himself. Then, what about sword techniques? Lu Ming moved his hand and a battle sword appeared. He used the flowing light sword technique and slashed at the other party. However, the other party also condensed a battle sword in his hand and used the flowing light sword technique. In fact, when Lu Ming used the airborne steps, the other party also used the airborne steps. Astral Fire Spear Technique, Chasing Lightning. Lu Ming put away his combat sword and took out his fiery tongue spear, unleashing his strongest combat power. However, the other party used the Astral Fire Spear technique and his strength was no weaker than Lu Ming's. It could be said that he was exactly the same as Lu Ming. Whatever martial arts technique Lu Ming used, the figure would also use the same martial arts technique. Even the strength of the technique was the same. Lu Ming finally confirmed that the other party was actually himself, another him condensed by the inscription formation. He was fighting with himself. What a wonderful feeling. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He had always been fighting with the enemy, but he had never fought with himself. Then let's have a big fight. In that case, Lu Ming was too lazy to think about it. He let go of his body and mind and erupted with all his strength to fight with the figure. However, no matter what means he used, the other party would also use it. No matter how strong he was, the other party was not inferior at all. He was completely himself. Boom. Boom. In the blink of an eye, more than 300 moves had been exchanged, but there was still no winner. How could he win against himself? However, Lu Ming's face showed a surprised smile. Wonderful, wonderful. It turns out that there is such a flaw in my martial technique. Moreover, when I use my spear, I also have a bad habit. Lu Ming's eyes were full of ecstasy. In the great battle just now, he discovered his own shortcomings. After more than 300 moves in a row, he tried his best to find the other party's flaw and defeat him in every move. Wasn't finding the other party's flaw the same as finding his own flaw? He found that his spear technique, which he thought was perfect, actually had some shortcomings. Moreover, when he used his spear, he also had a bad habit. These were very subtle. Normally, it would be impossible to find out. Only when he fought with himself with all his strength could he find out. However, how could ordinary people fight with him? At this moment, Lu Ming realized that the figure condensed by the inscription array was more useful than the chanting of scriptures. How good could the cultivation and comprehension of martial techniques be if he fought with himself all the time? Lu Ming felt excited at the thought of it. Continue. Lu Ming recuperated for a while and continued to fight with this figure. Every time, Lu Ming attacked with all his strength. He exchanged hundreds of moves with the other party and only stopped when his genuine qi was exhausted. In this way, Lu Ming stopped 3 times in a row. That was because the figure had suddenly disappeared. He disappeared. What's going on? Chapter 161. Could it be because the spiritual crystals have been used up? Lu Ming thought. It would definitely require energy to form such a figure and have an intense battle with him. Lu Ming walked to the stone platform and found that it had dimmed and returned to its original state. It seems that it needs spiritual crystals to operate. Lu Ming felt relieved after finding the problem. However, it was not the time to continue cultivating. He was still in the small plane. This was a small plane left behind by the ancestors of the Eastern barbarians. It might contain great opportunities and Lu Ming did not want to miss it. I'll study it in the future, Lu Ming muttered. Then, he left the Temple of Paragon. Apart from the main hall, there are other places in this place that I haven't explored yet. I'll continue to explore before going to other places. Lu Ming moved and started to explore the dilapidated palace. Most of the palace was dilapidated and collapsed. Only a few places still looked okay. Unfortunately, Lu Ming searched more than 10 rooms, side halls, and main halls but to no avail. It was empty. It seems that there's nothing left in this place. There's still the backyard. If I don't find anything, I'll leave this place. Lu Ming ran to the backyard. The backyard was very spacious, but it was barren and full of weeds. Lu Ming was disappointed. He shook his head and was about to leave. Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes moved. There was a special place in the middle of the backyard. There was no grass in the area with a radius of 10 meters. It was barren. And right in the middle, there was a rusty iron rod stuck there. The other places were full of weeds, but this was the only place that was barren. It was too special. Lu Ming was very curious. He walked over and looked at it carefully. The ground was made of a kind of grayish-brown rock. It was very hard. Lu Ming stepped on it and it did not move at all. There were no signs of it breaking. No wonder there was no grass. The iron rod was rusty. God knew how long it had been exposed to wind and rain. It's not an iron rod. It's a long spear. After looking at it carefully, Lu Ming was stunned. It was a long spear. However, the spearhead was stuck in the ground. Lu Ming mistook it for an iron rod. This long spear must be extraordinary. I can't miss it. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. Then, he grabbed the long spear with both hands and pulled it out. The long spear shook slightly, but he did not pull it out. Lu Ming was taken aback. Although he did not use all his strength just now, the force of his pull was enough to lift up a huge rock that weighed 100,000 pounds. However, he could not pull out a long spear that was stuck in the ground. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The more this was the case, the more extraordinary the spear was. With a loud shout, Lu Ming unleashed his full strength. Boom! His true qi was boiling and there was a loud boom on the ground. Lu Ming's muscles were bulging. He had the strength to uproot mountains and his aura was unparalleled. Clang! A clanging sound could be heard and Lu Ming finally pulled out the long spear that was stuck in the ground. Roar! At this moment, there was a beast roar at the place where the long spear was pulled out. Then, a black shadow condensed from the ground. It was a huge black lizard. However, it was not a physical body. It was an illusory body. Roar! The huge lizard roared and pounced on Lu Ming. This is the soul of a demonic beast. Lu Ming was shocked. He quickly retreated. However, the black lizard was only halfway there when it suddenly exploded. It turned into wisps of black gas and dissipated. Phew! Lu Ming exhaled. It seemed that it was just a demonic beast's remnant soul. God knows how long it had been suppressed. It was so weak that it dissipated on its own. The scene fell into silence once more, and everything returned to normal. Lu Ming relaxed and looked at the long spear in his hand. The long spear was 8 feet long. The tip of the spear was 8 inches long. However, it was covered in rust. It was almost impossible to see its original appearance. However, the weight of the long spear was shocking. Lu Ming estimated that it was at least 10,000 pounds. This weight is not bad. Lu Ming held the long spear and waved it a few times. The long spear swept through the air and let out a rumbling sound. It was like thunder in the 9 heavens. What made Lu Ming very satisfied was that the softness and elasticity of the long spear were not bad. It was much better than the fire tongue spear. Although he could not tell what level this long spear was, Lu Ming liked it very much just based on its weight and elasticity. There are words. At this moment, Lu Ming noticed that there were 2 small words on the shaft of the spear. Demon suppression. Looking carefully, he realized that it was the 2 words demon suppression. Demon suppression? Demon suppression spear, what a domineering name. Could it be that the demonic beast remnant soul of that lizard was the demonic beast suppressed by the demon suppression spear? Lu Ming thought. Then, he waved it a few more times and felt that it was very comfortable. The only bad thing was that the body of the spear was rusty. It was very ugly, like a broken spear. Lu Ming planned to find an inscriber to refine it when he returned to the Mystic Essence Sword sect. After putting away the demon suppression spear, Lu Ming looked around and did not find anything else. Lu Ming's figure flashed and he left the place. At this moment, a few hundred miles away from Lu Ming, there was a majestic mountain peak. However, the mountain peak was surrounded by a thick fog. The fog was so thick that it could not be dispersed. Even if a martial artist's eyesight was better than an ordinary person's, he would not be able to see his fingers in the fog. At the outermost edge of the fog, there were hundreds of stone pillars. In front of the stone pillars stood dozens of figures. These were the experts of the Dongi tribe. At the very front stood 3 figures. 2 of them were the Dongi tribe's 5th-level martial grandmasters. The other was a figure wrapped in a black robe and a bamboo hat. He was so skinny that it was impossible to see his face clearly. However, the 2 5th-grade martial grandmasters seemed to be respectful to the man in the black robe and bamboo hat. If I'm not wrong, this mountain is the abode left behind by the Dongi tribe's king. Continue to carve inscriptions on the stone pillars according to my method. Soon, the formation will be broken and the fog will disperse. The man in the black robe and bamboo hat instructed, his voice low and hoarse. Yes, if the Dongi tribe can obtain the inheritance of our ancestor, we will never forget Senior's kindness. One of the 5th-grade martial grandmasters cupped his fists respectfully. Then, the 2 old men walked forward and began to carve inscriptions on the stone pillars. Half an hour later, the hundreds of stone pillars suddenly emitted a dazzling light. The fog around them also began to disperse slowly. At the scene, the Dongi tribesmen were ecstatic. Their eyes were burning with passion. Not long after, the fog dispersed completely. The mountain peak that had been hidden in the fog was finally revealed. It turned out to be a wolf-shaped mountain. The entire mountain was barren, as if it had been carved into a giant wolf by a giant boulder. Chapter 162. It was as if the wolf's mouth was the entrance to the abode. Ha ha ha, we've finally found the abode left behind by our ancestors. The heavens are on our side. The Dongi tribesmen cheered excitedly. All right, now that the formation at the entrance has been broken, let's go in together, the skinny black-robed man said in a low voice. The 2 Dongi 5th-level martial grandmasters glanced at each other. Their eyes flashed at the same time as they nodded inwardly. Senior, please leave the ruins and return to the army in Dongqiu City, one of the elders said. The skinny black-robed man was stunned. What do you mean? Senior, this is the ancestral land left behind by our ancestors. You're an outsider. It's not good for you to enter, the other elder said. I understand. You're going to burn the bridge after crossing it. The skinny black-robed man's voice was hoarse and low. That's not right. How can you say that we're burning the bridge after crossing it? We're just asking you to go back first. Once we get the treasures left behind by our ancestors, we'll reward you handsomely. One of the Dongi elders sneered. Haha, you're making it sound so righteous. I finally realized that you Dongi tribesmen are despicable. If I hadn't provided you with the clues and formation patterns to break the formation, how could you have known where the entrance to the ruins was? How could you have broken the formation? Also, I left some men behind to help you block the geniuses of the Mystic Essence Sword sect. I've done my best. Now that we're about to succeed, you're going back on your word. I must be blind. The skinny black-robed man let out an unpleasant, hoarse laugh. Enough. An elder from the Dorngi tribe shouted coldly. His face darkened as he said, "This time, you have indeed contributed. As I said earlier, you will be rewarded. Moreover, you sent people to stop the disciples of the Mystic Essence Sword sect, but it was useless. The Mystic Essence Sword sect still chased after us, causing us to suffer heavy losses. I haven't settled this debt with you yet. Also, don't think that I don't know your cultivation. I'm just being polite by calling you senior. You'd better know your place. Otherwise, you might not even be able to leave this place." As soon as he finished speaking, the other masters of the Dorngi tribe stepped forward and surrounded the skinny black-robed man. Their eyes were filled with hostility. What a bunch of ungrateful people. No wonder the Dorngi tribe has declined. But do you think I didn't have a backup plan? The skinny black-robed man sneered. In the next moment, his body suddenly moved. As fast as lightning, he pounced on a burly Dorngi man of the martial Grandmaster realm. This time, the speed was too fast. Before the burly man could react, his throat was grabbed by the thin black-robed man. Junchi poured into the Dorngi man's body. The Dorngi man's body went limp, unable to resist at all. The skinny black-robed man's throat was gripped by the skinny black-robed man. The skinny black-robed man flashed and escaped the encirclement, retreating to the center of the stone pillars. "What are you doing? Let him go if you don't want to die." A fifth-level martial Grand Master Dorngi elder roared and rushed toward the skinny black-robed man. However, at this moment, a black long sword appeared in the skinny black-robed man's hand. With a swing of the long sword, the Eastern barbarian's head fell to the ground and blood splattered everywhere. "Open for me!" The skinny black-robed man's Junchi spurted out. Blood was driven by his Junchi, forming streaks of blood that fell on the stone pillars and the ground. Buzz! More than 100 stone pillars suddenly vibrated and emitted a bright light. Then, the light on the 100 over stone pillars gathered together, forming a huge pillar of light that was as large as a mountain, shooting up into the sky. This light pillar was so bright that it could be seen from hundreds of miles away. At this moment, hundreds of miles away, Lu Ming was running through a forest when he suddenly saw the light pillar that shot up into the sky. What is that? Could it be that a rare treasure has appeared? Let's go take a look. With a swift movement, Lu Ming dashed in the direction of the light pillar. At the same time, in different places, the other disciples of the Mystic Essence Sword sect also saw the light pillar and also rushed toward it. In the light pillar area. Haha, if you want to leave me aside and take it for yourself, then let the disciples of the Mystic Essence Sword sect come together. Let's see if you can kill all the disciples of the Mystic Essence Sword sect. The skinny black-robed man laughed hoarsely. Damn it! Damn it! The Dorngi tribesmen were furious. I'll kill you first. A fifth-grade martial master elder roared and continued to attack the skinny black-robed man. Suddenly, the ground shook. Then, streaks of blood-red light shot out from the ground and attacked the Dorngi tribesmen. Ah! Some of the Dorngi tribesmen screamed as they were pierced by the blood-red light. At this moment, the crowd was shocked to see that the blood-red light was actually a blood-red vine. The vine was as thick as a finger. It shot out from the ground and wriggled wildly, entangling the Dorngi tribesmen. The man who was pierced by the vine let out a shrill scream. His Junchi burst forth as he tried to break free. However, the blood-red vine was so tough that it was impossible for him to break free. Moreover, it kept wriggling as if it was sucking the man's blood. The Dorngi tribesman's body shriveled up at a speed visible to the naked eye. The blood-red vine absorbed the blood and became even crazier. It kept wriggling and attacking the others. There were hundreds of them. It was a lot. Ha ha ha. Enjoy yourselves. The skinny black-robed man was very fast. His thin figure flashed as he dodged the blood-red vines. He rushed toward the wolf-shaped mountain peak. Damn it! Kill him! A Dorngi tribesman roared. However, a few more Dorngi tribesmen were entangled by the blood-red vines. The vines pierced their skin and sucked their blood. Those who are third-grade martial master and below, retreat. Those who are third-grade martial master and above, charge with us. A fifth-grade martial master elder roared. The Dorngi tribesmen immediately split into two groups. Those with lower cultivation retreated from the stone pillar while those with higher cultivation charged in together. On the other hand, Lu Ming was running at high speed. He covered a distance of a few hundred miles in just half an hour. What a strange mountain peak. As he approached, Lu Ming saw the wolf-shaped mountain peak. This was the first time he had seen such a strange mountain peak. Intense battle cries came from ahead. When Lu Ming arrived, he saw two groups of people fighting. One group was the disciples of the mystic essence sword sect, such as Chen Quan. There were also disciples from the other schools. It seemed that they were closer to this place and had arrived earlier than Lu Ming. The other group was of course the Dorngi tribesmen. However, the Dorngi tribesmen had no experts. They were all third-grade martial masters and below. They were no match for the mystic essence sword sect disciples. However, there were no third-grade martial masters or above among the Dorngi tribesmen. Let's retreat first. Chapter 163. Whoosh, whoosh. Blood-colored vines shot out from the ground, entangling the corpses and sucking their blood. Are these vampiric vines? It seems that the Dorngi experts have all rushed in. This must be an important place left behind by the Dorngi ancestors. There must be treasures inside. Let's go in. Some of the mystic essence sword sect disciples also rushed in. Of course, some of the weaker cultivators, such as martial masters of first and second realm, were afraid of the vampiric vines and did not rush in. Those who rushed out were all martial masters of third realm and above. There were more than a dozen of them. Lu Ming's eyes flashed and he rushed out as well. Whoosh whoosh. Suddenly, blood-colored vines shot toward Lu Ming like streaks of blood-colored lightning. Lu Ming swept out his long spear, knocking the blood-colored vines away. Although these blood-colored vines were fatal to martial artists at the first or second level of the martial master realm, they posed no threat to him at all. Lu Ming barged past them quickly and ran toward the huge mouth of the wolf-shaped mountain peak. However, he stopped after a short while. In front of him, demonic beasts roared and evil chi filled the air. There were at least 50 demonic corpses and devil puppets fighting fiercely with the Dorngi group. These Dorngi experts were of third realm and above martial masters. They had broken through the blood snake vines but were unexpectedly surrounded by a large number of demonic corpses and devil puppets. Moreover, these demonic corpses and devil puppets were abnormally strong. Lu Ming even found demonic corpses and devil puppets that were equivalent to fourth realm martial masters. There were more than a dozen of them. On the ground, several Dorngi experts had already been torn apart. It was a horrible sight. Whoosh, whoosh. Behind them, Chen Quan and the others rushed through the blood snake vines. However, when they saw the demonic corpses and devil puppets, their faces turned green. How can we fight so many demonic corpses and devil puppets? Chen Quan said with an ugly expression. In front of them, the Dorngi tribe had clearly seen Lu Ming and the others. You guys retreat first. The two of us will barge in. The mystic essence sword sect's brats won't be able to barge in. A fifth-layer martial grand master of the Dorngi tribe shouted. The other eastern barbarians retreated from the encirclement of the demon corpses and devil puppets. What was strange was that when the Dorngi tribesmen retreated to a certain distance, the demon corpse devil puppet did not chase after them. Instead, it pounced on the two fifth-level martial grandmasters with all its might, as if it wanted to stop them from rushing in. However, the two old men of the fifth level of the martial master realm teamed up and slowly made their way inside. What should we do? With so many powerful fiend corpses and devil puppets, there's no way we can break in. A youth from the Everdragon Institute roared. No matter what, let's give it a try. The remaining fourth-level martial master from the White Tiger Hall was unwilling to give up and charged forward. However, in the blink of an eye, 3 or 4 demon corpse devil puppets, which were equivalent to fourth-level martial grandmaster, pounced on him. He had to use all of his strength to break free and retreat. He was almost seriously injured, and his expression was extremely gloomy. There were too many Demon Corpse devil puppets, which were equivalent to 4th level Martial Grandmaster. It was impossible to break through. Junior brother Lu Ming, do you want to give it a try? Chen Quan looked at Lu Ming. Of course. Lu Ming smiled faintly. All of a sudden, he dashed out into the midst of the demon corpses and devil puppets. Roar! Roar! Suddenly, 3 or 4 4th level Martial Grandmaster Demon Corpse devil puppets pounced on Lu Ming. Get lost! Lu Ming's eyes flashed as he swept out with his long spear. Boom! With a loud boom, 3 or 4 Demon Corpse devil puppets were sent flying. How can this be? Chen Quan, the other disciples of the Mystic Essence Sword Sect, and the Dongi tribesmen were all shocked. Sweeping away 3 or 4 4th level Martial Grandmaster Demon Corpse devil puppets with a single spear, this was too strong. This definitely required the strength of a 5th level Martial Grandmaster. Could it be that Lu Ming already had the strength of a 5th level Martial Grandmaster? Wasn't this too unbelievable? It had only been a few months since the 4 Academies tournament. Wasn't Lu Ming's progress too terrifying? Boom! Boom! With the long spear in his hand, Lu Ming was invincible. One by one, the Demon Corpse devil puppets were sent flying. Lu Ming quickly pushed forward. At this moment, the 2 5th level Martial Grandmaster elders of the Dongi tribe had already broken through the encirclement of the Demon Corpse devil puppets and appeared 100 meters ahead. It seemed that this was the forbidden area of the Demon Corpse devil puppets. Once there, not a single Demon Corpse devil puppet pursued them. They had originally planned to rush in directly. After all, the skinny black-robed man had disappeared. Perhaps he had already rushed into the cave residence of the Dongi tribe's ancestor. However, at this moment, they saw Lu Ming rushing toward them. Damn it, we can't let this person pass. The 2 of us will stop him here, a slightly bigger elder said with a gloomy face. All right. We will stop him here and then go in to kill that guy. The things left behind by the Dongi tribe's ancestor must not fall into the hands of outsiders. The slightly fatter elder nodded. His face was filled with murderous intent. The 2 of them stood side by side, staring coldly at Lu Ming. Lu Ming waved his long spear and sent the Demon Corpse devil puppets flying. He quickly rushed forward. A few minutes later, he was close to the 2 elders of the Dongi tribe. At this moment, the Demon Corpse devil puppets roared and stopped chasing Lu Ming. They returned to their original positions and glared at Chen Quan and the others. Go to hell! At this moment, the 2 elders of the Dongi tribe rushed toward Lu Ming at the same time. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. He did not take the attack head-on. Instead, he used the airborne steps and soared into the sky, avoiding the attacks of the 2 elders. Then, he took a few steps in the air as if he was walking on empty air. He moved a few dozen meters forward and directly leaped over the 2 elders. Haha, I'll go first. Lu Ming laughed loudly. He extended his body and dashed toward the wolf-shaped mountain peak. Stop right there. Damn it. The 2 elders of the Dongi tribe roared and chased after Lu Ming. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared without a trace. Lu Ming actually rushed in. The other disciples of the Mystic Essence Sword Sect were envious, especially the disciples of the White Tiger Hall. Lu Ming rushed forward, getting closer and closer to the black mouth of the wolf-shaped mountain peak. Lu Ming did not stop and rushed in directly. The 2 elders of the Dongi tribe followed closely behind. I'll find a chance to break through them one by one. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with murderous intent. He had just broken through to the 2nd realm of the Martial Master realm. He was confident that he could deal with a 5th realm Martial Master. However, he was not sure if he could deal with 2 of them at the same time. The dark cave was extremely deep and serene. Lu Ming ran forward for thousands of meters before he reached the end of the cave. In front of him, it suddenly opened up, and a huge stone chamber appeared. There were 6 stone pillars in the stone room. On top of each pillar, there was a secret manual suspended. There was a layer of light covering the secret manuals. At this moment, 2 of the secret manuals on the stone pillars had already disappeared. On the other stone pillar, a thin figure in a black robe was constantly bombarding the halo on a secret manual. At this moment, the thin figure in the black robe seemed to have noticed Lu Ming and glanced at him. Chapter 164. Who is he? Lu Ming was puzzled. The skinny black-robed man merely cast a nonchalant glance at Lu Ming and ignored him. He continued to bombard the halo that enveloped the secret manual. I don't care who he is. These secret manuals are protected by inscriptions. After so many years, the power of the inscriptions has not dissipated. They must be extraordinary. I'll get them first. Lu Ming's mind raced. With a flash of his figure, he flew toward another stone pillar. At the same time, he thrust his long spear at lightning speed. Boom! The long spear pierced the halo that enveloped the secret manual, and a rumbling sound was heard. The halo began to tremble like water ripples. However, it did not shatter. What a powerful inscription defense! After so many years, it still has such a strong defense. Lu Ming was amazed. It's a secret manual. It's a secret manual left behind by the ancestors of the Dongi tribe. Damn it! How dare you touch our secret manuals? You're courting death. The two elders of the Dongi tribe roared angrily when they saw what was happening. Then, the two Dongi elders pounced on the skinny black-robed man. Two snow-white blade lights cut through the air and slashed at the skinny black-robed man. You're really ungrateful. I told you to come here, and you attack me first. The skinny black-robed man abandoned the secret manual and dodged the attack. Humph! If you didn't trick us, how could that bastard from the Mystic Essence Sword sect enter? All the treasures here are ours. We'll kill him after we finish you, the skinny elder said coldly. Ridiculous. Do you really think you can kill me? The skinny black-robed man said in a hoarse voice. At the same time, his aura surged. A black sword appeared in his hand. He swung the sword and slashed at the two elders. Clang! Clang! The three of them exchanged a few blows. The skinny black-robed man was at a disadvantage and retreated quickly. At this moment, Lu Ming was crazily attacking a circle of light. After dozens of consecutive shots, the circle of light finally exploded with a bang like a ball of fireworks. Lu Ming reached out and grabbed the secret manual in his hands. The book was very soft. It was neither gold nor jade. He didn't have time to look at it carefully. With a thought, he put it in the Temple of Paragon. Then, it pounced on another stone pillar. Whoosh! Whoosh! At that moment, the sound of something breaking through the air rang out. The skinny black-robed man was running toward Lu Ming with the two Dongi elders in hot pursuit. Nestle! Lu Ming couldn't help but curse. The skinny black-robed man was clearly trying to divert the trouble away. Little brother, why don't we join forces and kill these two old men? We'll split the loot equally. What do you think? The thin black-robed man shouted. Lu Ming's eyes flashed, then he said, sure, one for each of us. With that, Lu Ming rushed towards the old man. The two elders of the Dongi tribe had to be dealt with sooner or later. Otherwise, they wouldn't have let him go. It would be better for him to join forces with the skinny black-robed man and deal with the two elders first. All right. The skinny black-robed man was overjoyed. He turned around and attacked the fat elder. Damn it, do you think that joining forces will work? The skinny elder roared. He slashed his saber and attacked Lu Ming crazily. Lu Ming's long spear vibrated. The spear radiance pierced through the air and clashed with the skinny elder. Boom! Boom! There were explosions in the stone chamber. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming and the skinny elder had exchanged more than 20 blows. Lu Ming became stronger and stronger as the fight went on. He gradually suppressed his opponent. On the other side, the skinny black-robed man also displayed his powerful combat strength. He suppressed the fat elder to the point that he couldn't fight back. Damn it, let's retreat. The two Dongi elders roared in their hearts, but they already had the intention to retreat. It's too late for you to leave now. The skinny black-robed man shouted coldly. He waved his hands, and rays of black light flashed through the air. The sound of something breaking through the air could be heard. The fat elder's expression changed drastically. He waved his saber rapidly, and a series of clanking sounds could be heard. However, He didn't know what the sound of something breaking through the air was. It was too dense and fast. He couldn't completely block it. Puff. Finally, something hit the fat elder's body and cut a long wound. Puff puff. The skinny black-robed man continued to wave his hands. The sound of something breaking through the air became even more intense. The fat elder roared again and again, but it was useless. Puff. Blood splattered everywhere. The fat elder's throat was pierced. He screamed and fell to the ground. The skinny elder was shocked. He didn't dare to continue fighting. He slashed his saber a few times, trying to force Lu Ming to retreat and then escape. You underestimate me too much. I'll send you to accompany your companions. Lu Ming shouted coldly, and his long spear stabbed out rapidly. Explode. Boom. A terrifying energy erupted from the tip of the spear and blasted toward Elder Chu. Elder Chu's body shook violently. He coughed up blood and almost exploded. However, what greeted him was Lu Ming's long spear. Puff. The fiery red spear pierced through Old Man Kuei's chest, piercing through it. Elder Chu was dead. The two elders of the Dongi tribe were both killed. Impressive. You're so young, but your strength is so terrifying. You're really admirable. The skinny black-robed man laughed hoarsely and slowly approached Lu Ming. Lu Ming withdrew his long spear. He controlled his bloodline and silently devoured Elder Chu's blood essence. Instantly, the blood essence of a 5th-grade martial master was refined. It turned into a torrent of energy and surged into Lu Ming's body to replenish his genuine qi. Lu Ming pretended to gasp for breath and said, "You're the one who's unfathomable. You actually led the Dongi tribe to their ancestral remains. It seems that you were the one who instigated the Dongi tribe to attack the Burning Sun Empire. Haha, I had no choice. I had to borrow the Dongi tribe's help to open their ancestral remains. Now, everything is settled. Only you and I are left. How about we split the treasures here?" The skinny black-robed man laughed hoarsely. Of course. Lu Ming smiled. At this moment, the skinny black-robed man suddenly attacked. He pounced at Lu Ming like lightning. He waved his hands and the sound of something breaking through the air could be heard. However, Lu Ming was very calm. It was as if he had expected the skinny black-robed man's sneak attack. The moment the skinny black-robed man attacked, Lu Ming drifted back and waved his long spear. The tip of the spear vibrated and turned into rays of spear radiance. Ding ding, there was a series of clashing sounds. The skinny black-robed man's attacks were all blocked by Lu Ming. You knew I was going to attack. The skinny black-robed man seemed surprised. One must always be vigilant, Lu Ming said coldly. You're young, but you're quite vigilant. Do you think you can stop me? Naive. In the next moment, the skinny black-robed man disappeared and suddenly appeared behind Lu Ming. He stabbed his sword at Lu Ming's back. Moon seizing. Lu Ming did not hesitate. He swept his long spear behind him. Clang. The spear and sword clashed. Lu Ming's body trembled. However, he stomped heavily and continued to attack the skinny black-robed man. If you want to kill me, I'll kill you first. Chapter 165. Lu Ming's long spear danced like a dragon as the power of fire erupted. Combined with the flaming star spear art, the power was terrifying. As the long spear danced, it was as if a volcano had erupted. Heat filled the air and enveloped the skinny black-robed man. Boom! The skinny black-robed man resisted with all his might, but he was still swept by the heat. The black bamboo hat suddenly exploded, revealing the face under the black robe. Lu Ming was taken aback. This was because it was actually a woman's face. She was about 15 or 16 years old. She looked even younger than Lu Ming. She had an oval face, willowy eyebrows, round and watery almond-shaped eyes, and snow-white skin. She was actually an unrivaled beauty. Lu Ming thought it was a skinny old man. He did not expect it to be a beautiful girl. I did not expect a genius like you to exist in the small Burning Sun Empire. You are only a 2nd-grade martial master, yet you can break my bamboo hat. Since that is the case, I will not hide anymore. I will show you my true strength. The beautiful girl's voice was clear and melodious, like round pearls falling on a jade plate. However, at this moment, her voice was filled with cold, killing intent. Whoosh! The beautiful girl tore the black robe on her body. The black robe was torn apart, like black butterflies dancing in the air, revealing the girl's delicate figure. The girl's clothing was very strange. Her black robe was very short, revealing her snow-white abdomen. She also wore a short black skirt, revealing her legs. Her legs were delicate and white, slender and well-proportioned. Together with the girl's beautiful face, they formed a beautiful picture. However, Lu Ming was not in the mood to appreciate it. The girl had already launched a fierce attack on him. Heavenly demon magic skill, demon lotus dance. The beautiful girl shouted. The black true chi on her body surged and condensed into black lotuses around her body. Then, the girl waved her hands and the black lotuses spread out. Black petals pierced through the air, making ear-piercing whistling sounds as they flew towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming finally knew what method the girl had used to kill the old man from the Dongi tribe. It was these petals. However, the speed of the petals was obviously faster than before. There were also more petals. Fire dance. The long spear swayed, and flames appeared all around Lu Ming's body. Ding, ding. Rapid sounds of collisions could be heard. Within a few breaths, there were over 100 collisions. What a powerful force. Lu Ming felt that every time they clashed, the power coming from the black petal was extremely shocking. After clashing with it over 100 times, even with Lu Ming's cultivation base, he still felt his arm go numb. Great demonic palm, the beautiful girl shouted. Her beautiful legs bounced slightly, and her body soared into the sky. She continuously struck out a few palms at Lu Ming. 3 black palm prints lined up in a row. One after the other, they tore through the air and attacked Lu Ming. Broken armor. Lu Ming thrust out his long spear. The spear tip rotated, bringing about a powerful rotational cutting force. Bang! The first palm print was defeated by Lu Ming, but Lu Ming's body swayed and he couldn't help but take 2 steps back. However, the second palm print had already arrived. Broken armor. Continuing to use this move, he defeated the second palm print. However, Lu Ming's body took 8 steps back, and his face turned pale. Immediately, the third palm print arrived. Landslide. Break for me. Lu Ming roared and swept out with his long spear. The shaft of the spear vibrated, and it collided with the third palm print. Boom. Lu Ming felt as if he was struck by lightning. His body trembled, and he was forced to take more than 10 steps back. The blood in his body surged, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Too powerful. Where did this genius come from? At this moment, Lu Ming's heart was filled with shock. Previously, the aura of the girl was hazy. It seemed very strong, but no one could clearly see her cultivation base. However, when the girl used the great demonic palm, her cultivation base was finally exposed. Second layer martial master. This beautiful girl's cultivation base was actually the same as Lu Ming's, second layer martial master. However, her battle strength was terrifyingly strong, and she was able to suppress Lu Ming. Currently, Lu Ming's true dragon of battle technique had reached the 3rd layer, and he had also comprehended the force of fire. With such a strong battle strength, he was actually suppressed in a battle of the same level. Force. This girl has also comprehended force, and her force realm is definitely higher than mine. Furthermore, she is very strong in other aspects. Is there such a genius in the Blazing Sun Empire? No, from her tone, she shouldn't be from the Blazing Sun Empire. Lu Ming's mind quickly turned. Kid, not bad. I didn't think that there would be a second-layer martial master in the Blazing Sun Empire. Being able to block my great demonic palm, even I am somewhat appreciative of your talent. How about this, if you leave now, I'll spare your life. The beautiful girl looked at Lu Ming in surprise and said, The outcome hasn't been decided yet. I don't have the habit of admitting defeat so easily. Lu Ming grinned and his eyes were filled with battle intent. I just praised you and you think you're in the sky. Then I'll show you the difference between the two of us. The girl snorted and moved her body, charging towards Lu Ming. So fast, This is the force of wind. Lu Ming's pupils constricted and he suddenly swept out his long spear. Boom! The two of them exchanged a blow and then engaged in a fierce battle. It had to be said that the beautiful girl's battle strength was very terrifying. Lu Ming had already used all his strength except for his bloodline, but he was still completely suppressed by the girl. After 7 to 8 blows, Lu Ming was completely defeated and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. "I'll send you on your way." The girl's voice was very cold as she continuously attacked with a few great demonic palm. "Now's the time." Lu Ming's eyes suddenly lit up and a bloody light flashed on his body as his bloodline burst out. Afterward, Lu Ming ignored the young lady's heavenly fiend great handprint and dashed toward her. Boom! 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 3 consecutive black palm prints blasted on Lu Ming's body, but Lu Ming's body only trembled. He gritted his teeth and rushed towards the girl. The girl was stunned. She never thought that Lu Ming could actually resist her great demonic palm. By the time she reacted, Lu Ming was already in front of her. Whoosh! The long spear stabbed out as fast as lightning, but the girl's reaction was also very fast. She waved her palm and slapped Lu Ming's long spear aside. But Lu Ming's momentum did not stop and continued to crash towards the girl. At the same time, his palm glowed and the long spear disappeared. Lu Ming grabbed at the girl's throat. This time, the girl could no longer dodge and was pounced on by Lu Ming. At the same time, her throat was also grabbed by Lu Ming's fingers. But Lu Ming's fingers did not reach down, because a dagger had appeared in the girl's hand out of nowhere and was pressed against Lu Ming's back. As long as Lu Ming's claws exerted force, the girl's dagger would instantly pierce through Lu Ming's heart. But on the other hand, the girl did not dare to stab the dagger down. Because if she exerted force, Lu Ming's claws would instantly break her throat. The two of them were in a deadlock just like that. It was just that the two of them were in an ambiguous position. Lu Ming held the girl's neck with one hand and her slender waist with the other. Chapter 166. Their faces were only a few centimeters apart. Their eyes met, and they could smell each other's breath. The girl's fragrance wafted into Lu Ming's nose. Lu Ming couldn't help but sniff and take a few deep breaths. The girl's face turned red. Her big eyes were burning with anger and cold killing intent. She said coldly, "If you don't want to die, let go." How could Lu Ming agree? He curled his lips and said, "Unless you put away the dagger first, don't think I'll let go." "Put away the dagger first. Don't even think about it." The girl shouted angrily. "Oh, then forget it. Anyway, it's good like this. With a beauty in my arms and a soft jade fragrance, not bad, not bad. It's good to stay like this." Lu Ming chuckled. His face moved closer to the girl. He even took a deep breath and showed an intoxicated expression. The girl was ashamed and angry. She said, "You're shameless. You dare to scold me. Believe it or not, I'll kiss you." Lu Ming curled his lips. Then, his face suddenly moved closer to the girl's face. "No, wait a minute, wait a minute." The girl finally couldn't stand it and screamed. Lu Ming stopped. "How about this, we'll both let go. I'll put away the dagger, and he'll let go of your claws. How about it?" The girl said helplessly. She gritted her teeth in her heart. Lu Ming was really hateful. "Okay." Lu Ming pondered for a moment and nodded. After all, it wasn't a good idea to continue like this. "I'll count to 3, 2, 1, and we'll both let go." Seeing Lu Ming nod, the girl was overjoyed. 3, 2, 1. When the girl shouted 1, the dagger in her hand disappeared, and Lu Ming also let go of the girl's throat. At this moment, the girl's eyes flashed coldly. All the muscles on her body trembled. Her petite body exploded with power. At the same time, she grabbed at Lu Ming's neck with both hands. "I knew you would do this," Lu Ming lightly shouted. His muscles bulged, and at the same time, his Jinqi also completely erupted. Both of his hands went down to grab the girl's palm. At the same time, Lu Ming's legs clamped down on the girl's slender waist. Instantly, the two of them fell to the ground and wrestled with each other. This was a pure hand-to-hand fight. It was a competition of physical strength and the eruption of true qi. Lu Ming discovered that the girl's physical strength was extremely powerful, far surpassing his. Moreover, the girl's cultivation method was also extraordinary. Her zhen qi was condensed and rich, far surpassing that of ordinary martial artists. However, compared to Lu Ming's zhen qi, there was still a gap. Therefore, Lu Ming and the girl were on par with each other in terms of physical strength and zhen qi. It was hard to tell who was better. Therefore, it became a stalker. "Ah, why did you pinch me?" Lu Ming angrily shouted. His waist was ruthlessly pinched by Supergirl, causing him to suck in a breath of cold air. "Die." The girl's face was slightly red. She gritted her teeth and looked like she wanted to kill Lu Ming. "Ah, you're still pinching me? I'll grab you." In a panic, Lu Ming grabbed the girl's chest. Suddenly, a soft and bouncy feeling came from the palm of his hand, causing Lu Ming's heart to flutter. At this moment, the two of them were tangled together. The girl was not wearing much clothes, and with Lu Ming grabbing her place, it was as ambiguous as it could be. The feeling is not bad. Lu Ming could not help but think. "Ah, die." The girl let out a scream that almost deafened Lu Ming's ears. She bit Lu Ming's shoulder and clawed at Lu Ming's body with her hands. Lu Ming angrily shouted. He used all his strength and did not give in. The two of them continued to wrestle, rolling on the ground several times. "Hey, where are you grabbing?" Lu Ming suddenly roared. He felt that his vital part was grabbed by the girl, causing him to lose his calm. "Pervert, sinister, you actually hid a weapon in your crotch. Are you trying to sneak attack me?" The girl shouted. Lu Ming was stunned. He had a dumbstruck expression on his face. At this moment, the girl seemed to have reacted. She screamed and hurriedly let go. Her face was red, even her ears and neck were red. She shouted, "Pervert. Shameless, pervert. You're the one who grabbed me." Lu Ming retorted. "You, let go of me." The girl shouted. "No, if I let go, I won't be able to defeat you. This is good, anyway. I'm not at a disadvantage. If you like, continue." Lu Ming was very thick-skinned. "You, shameless. I won't do it, I surrender. I admit defeat." The girl finally retreated. "I don't believe you." Lu Ming refused to let go. "Let go, I swear, okay?" The girl was completely defeated. She shouted, "Let go, I swear I won't do anything to you. The secret manual's here, we'll each take half. If I go against it, I won't be able to make any progress in martial arts in the future. In the end, I'll go mad and die." Lu Ming's heart stirred. For a martial artist, this oath was heavy enough. Moreover, martial artists valued oaths very much. This was because if they did not abide by the oath, it was very likely that it would leave a knot in their hearts. It would be very detrimental to their future cultivation. That's more like it. Only then did Lu Ming let go of his hand. The young lady also let go of Lu Ming. Lu Ming crawled a few meters away and lay on the ground, gasping for breath. The hand-to-hand fight just now was more tiring than a fierce battle. The girl was the same. She was sweating profusely and gasping for breath. However, her pair of beautiful eyes stared fiercely at Lu Ming, as if she wanted to bite Lu Ming. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He shouted, "Hey, you swore, don't forget it." The girl's combat strength was indeed above his. Moreover, his bloodline had already activated. If they fought again, he wouldn't be able to create the situation just now. Humph. The girl's eyes flashed. In the end, she gritted her teeth and let out a cold snort. She didn't continue to fight. The two just stared at each other like this while circulating their cultivation methods to recover their true qi. 2 hours later, the two recovered their physical strength and true qi at the same time. Whoosh, whoosh. The two figures flashed at the same time, rushed toward a stone pillar and began to bombard the light circle on the stone pillar. Demonic Great Palm. The girl seemed to have released all her anger on the light circle, erupting a powerful attack. The light circle in her hand exploded in a short while. The girl put away the secret manual in the light circle and attacked the next one. So fast. Lu Ming's heart ached. There were a total of 6 stone pillars here. Previously, the girl had already destroyed 2 of the light circles on the stone pillars, and Lu Ming had also obtained a secret manual. There were only 3 left. Now, there was 1 less. Lu Ming could only obtain 2 at most. Boom! Boom! Lu Ming attacked wildly with his long spear. After dozens of spears, the light circle shattered. Lu Ming kept the secret manual inside the Temple of Paragon. He looked at the girl and saw that she had shattered another light circle and obtained the secret manual inside. Chapter 167. Humph. At this moment, the girl seemed to be in a better mood. She looked at Lu Ming proudly and snorted. Then, the girl rolled her eyes and suddenly said, "Boy, your combat strength is not bad. Why don't we work together and break into the core area of this cave dwelling? What do you think?" "The core area? Isn't this the core area?" Lu Ming said in surprise. "Nonsense, of course not. This is the cave dwelling left behind by a martial king realm expert, the ancestor of the Dongi tribe. How can it be filled with just a few secret manuals?" The girl laughed disdainfully. "He's actually a peerless martial king expert." Lu Ming gasped in his heart. At the same time, his eyes were burning with passion. A martial king realm expert was also known as a king realm expert. They were unbelievably powerful. Even the Burning Sun Empire might not have a martial king realm expert. A king realm expert had the power to destroy heaven and earth and overturn rivers and seas. They were unimaginably powerful. This was the cave dwelling of a martial king realm expert. What kind of treasures would there be? What do you think? Let's work together, the girl said with a smile. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. He was a little confused. This girl must be itching to bite him. Why would she be so kind as to invite him to work together? Who cares? I'll agree first. This is the King Realm relic. Lu Ming made up his mind and said, "Okay, I agree to work with you." "Okay, let's go." The girl smiled. Her beauty could topple a city. Lu Ming could not help but stare blankly. He thought to himself, this young lady is really good-looking. She is in no way inferior to Mulan and Qiu Yu. She might even be better. It's a pity that she is too evil. The girl touched one of the walls of the stone room. Soon, the wall of the stone room made a creaking sound and a stone door appeared. Lu Ming was very surprised. He could not help but ask, "Who exactly are you? Why are you so familiar with this place?" "Of course I know everything. Otherwise, why would I come to this place so easily? As for who I am, why should I tell you?" The young girl rolled her eyes at Lu Ming, snorted coldly, and walked through the stone door first. Lu Ming followed him in. After the stone door, there was a passageway that twisted and turned. After exiting the passageway, there was another stone room. However, there was nothing left in this stone room. Lu Ming followed the young lady and passed through 3 stone rooms. Finally, they ran into trouble. In the 4th stone room, they encountered a demonic corpse devil puppet. There were a total of 6 of them, but these 6 demonic corpse puppets were incomparably powerful. Each of them had the battle strength of a 5th-level martial master. With the 6 of them working together, the 2 of them fell into a tough battle. However, the eyes of the demonic corpses and devil puppets were their weak points. The 2 of them took advantage of them and attacked them one by one. It took them more than 10 minutes to kill all 6 demonic corpse puppets. Then, Lu Ming looked at a stone door at the side of the stone room. This stone door was taller and wider than the previous ones. It was more than 2 meters long and wide. After opening the stone door, a dark passageway was revealed. If I remember correctly, we will reach the core area after passing through this passageway. However, this passageway must have inscriptions, the young girl said. Lu Ming nodded. Immediately, the 2 of them walked in. The deeper they went, the wider the cave became. At the end, it became a huge passageway that was 7 to 8 meters tall and more than 10 meters wide. Surprisingly, there was no movement at all in the first 1,000 meters. However, after walking for about 1,000 meters, inscriptions suddenly shone around the cave and on the ground. Endless inscriptions shone. Then, A scorching aura was emitted. In the next moment, the entire passageway turned red, as if they were in a fire domain. Whoosh whoosh, a large amount of red flames appeared and filled the passageway. These were real flames and not illusory. They were condensed by inscriptions. Whoosh. Suddenly, a tall figure walked out of the flames. Its body was condensed by flames. It held a huge flaming sword in its hand and slashed at Lu Ming. Flame spirit condensed by inscriptions. Lu Ming was shocked. He did not dare to underestimate it. The fiery tongue spear appeared and stabbed out. Boom. The powerful spear gleam directly pierced through the flame spirit. However, after the flame spirit dissipated, it condensed again in an instant and charged toward Lu Ming. At the same time, several other flame spirits were condensed. They were holding flame sabers, flame spears, and so on. They all charged at Lu Ming. On the other side, the beautiful young girl was in the same situation. She was besieged by flame spirits. Boom. Boom. Rumbling sounds rang out continuously as the two of them engaged in a fierce battle with these flame spirits. However, these flame spirits were very powerful and could not be destroyed. After being scattered, they would condense again. They were very difficult to deal with. Let's join forces and keep moving forward. As long as we pass through here, we will reach the core area. The young girl shouted. Lu Ming nodded and leaned against the young girl. The two of them attacked together and rushed forward. However, there were more and more flame spirits in front of them. Moreover, the temperature of the flames was getting higher and higher. The two of them felt like they were in a furnace. Flames are my battlefield, Lu Ming whispered. The force of fire erupted and formed a strange domain around him. When he walked past, the flames automatically retreated. Whoosh! The astral fire spear was waved. The flames were driven and followed the spear, forming a fire dragon that blasted at the flame spirits. Bang! Bang! One by one, the flame spirits were blasted away. The flames here are really strange. They are completely different from the flames of volcanoes. The flames of volcanoes are about eruption and destroying everything. However, the flames here have spirituality and can form flame spirits. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He seemed to have understood something. His eyes were bright. As he fought, he sensed the surroundings. Flames are not only about eruption and destruction. They also have spirituality and vitality. Flames are the origin of human civilization. Lu Ming's mind was constantly thinking. Unknowingly, the force of fire on his body became more condensed. My force of fire is about to reach minor accomplishment. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He didn't expect that a moment of enlightenment would make his force of fire improve so much. Originally, his force of fire was just at the entry level. Now, he finally took a big step forward and was close to minor accomplishment. The improvement of the force of fire made Lu Ming's attack stronger. With a sweep of his spear, a large number of flame spirits were swept away. On the side, the beautiful girl was secretly shocked. Lu Ming's comprehension surprised her. It was just an inscription formation. Lu Ming had comprehended it in such a short time. Boom! Boom! The two of them joined forces and moved forward. However, there were too many flame spirits. The two of them fought with great difficulty. Half an hour. The two of them continuously charged forward for half an hour and rushed through a distance of thousands of meters. With their combat strength, there were still many scars on their bodies. It could be said to be a tough battle. We're almost there. The beautiful girl suddenly cried out in surprise. Lu Ming's spirit was also lifted. Chapter 168. They could vaguely see what was going on in the cave. Go. The two of them exerted all their strength and blasted away some of the fire spirits in front of them. Whoosh, whoosh. After a few sprints, they crossed the last few dozen meters and rushed into the cave. After the two of them rushed into the cave, the spirit of the flame and the spreading flames behind them slowly disappeared. Phew. The two of them let out a long sigh of relief, then began to observe their surroundings. It was a huge underground cave. It was more than 100 meters high and more than 100 meters wide. After a casual glance, the two of them stared at the center of the underground cave. There was a human skeleton sitting cross-legged on the ground. The bones were crystal clear like jade. Behind the skeleton, there was an altar made of stone. There were patterns carved on it and it was full of ancient charm. However, Lu Ming and the beautiful young lady merely took a casual glance and skipped over it. Their eyes were fixed on the two arms of the skeleton in a daze. The right hand of the skeleton was holding a green jade sword. The jade sword was very small, not much bigger than a finger. On the left hand of the skeleton, there was a ring. A storage ring. Lu Ming could tell at a glance that it was a storage ring. The skeleton was definitely a powerhouse when he was alive. The value of his storage ring must be very high. Lu Ming's eyes were burning. Whoosh, whoosh. Suddenly, Lu Ming and the beautiful girl moved at the same time. The two of them turned into two light shadows and rushed toward the skeleton. In an instant, the two of them rushed to the front of the skeleton. Lu Ming grabbed the storage ring on the finger of the skeleton, while the beautiful girl grabbed the jade sword in the right hand of the skeleton. He gathered his true chi and formed a claw. With a swipe, he plucked the storage ring from the skeleton's hand. Got it. Lu Ming was ecstatic. At this time, the beautiful girl also grabbed the jade sword in her hand. The joy on her face was uncontrollable. Then, the beautiful girl moved her hand and put away the jade sword. She looked at Lu Ming and said, "Hey, kid, hand over the storage ring. We'll each take half of the things inside." "Half each? What kind of joke is this? You take that jade sword, and I take the storage ring. It just so happens that we each have one. On what basis do you want to share my storage ring?" Lu Ming sneered. Naturally, he would not give it up. Your appetite is too big. This is a storage ring left behind by a king. Its value is shocking. I only took a jade sword. It's not fair. I don't care. I want to split the items in the storage ring equally. The peerless beauty glared at him and said rudely. Lu Ming was speechless. He rolled his eyes and said, "How about this? How about we trade? I'll use my storage ring to exchange for your jade sword so that you won't say that I'm taking advantage of you." "Why should I switch with you? I'm not exchanging." The beautiful girl didn't even think about it and directly refused. Lu Ming was so angry that he laughed. He could see that the value of the jade sword was above that of the storage ring. This girl had gotten a bargain, but she was still thinking about the storage ring. "Then we'll take one each." Lu Ming was too lazy to pay attention to her and directly put away the storage ring. What was there to say to this unreasonable girl? "Humph, if you don't give it to me, then I'll take it myself." The beautiful girl rolled her eyes and suddenly rushed towards Lu Ming. "Hey, you swore before that you wouldn't fight with me. You're breaking your oath now." Lu Ming quickly retreated with the long spear in his hand and shouted. "Humph, I said before that I wouldn't fight when I took those secret manuals. I didn't say that I wouldn't fight here." The girl snorted and quibbled. Boom. The girl waved her hand and used the great demonic palm print. 3 pitch-black giant palm prints attacked Lu Ming. Lu Ming waved his long spear to block. Although Lu Ming's firepower had increased a little, he was still not the girl's opponent. He was pushed back by the powerful palm power. To that flame array. Lu Ming's figure flashed and rushed towards the previous passage. When Lu Ming rushed into the passage, the surroundings shone with bright inscriptions. Then flames and fire spirits appeared and rushed towards Lu Ming. When the beautiful girl rushed in, there were also many fire spirits rushing towards her. "Get lost." The girl shouted and slapped a few times in a row. She defeated 5 or 6 fire spirits and rushed towards Lu Ming. "Don't think that I'm afraid of you." Lu Ming was really angry. He roared and waved his long spear. The surrounding flames were driven by him. Following the momentum of the spear, they condensed into a flame dragon and rushed towards the girl. Boom. The flame dragon and the girl's great demonic palm print collided. The black true chi and the fiery red flames exploded and swept in all directions. Several flame spirits that were close to them were directly blown away. Lu Ming and the girl's figures flashed at the same time. They were evenly matched. In this flame array, Lu Ming's battle power was stronger, and the girl was suppressed, so Lu Ming could compete with her. Let's see how you take my storage ring. Now, I'm going to spank your butt. Lu Ming shouted and waved his long spear, wildly whipping towards the girl, especially towards her butt. You, shameless. The girl's face turned red. Her pair of beautiful palms continuously slapped out vigorous palm power. Boom. Boom. There were continuous booming sounds. Lu Ming and the young lady exchanged dozens of moves. However, Lu Ming became more and more courageous, while the girl's true qi was slowly running out. She had already consumed a lot of true qi when passing through this passage. Now that she was fighting with Lu Ming, her true qi consumption was naturally greater. Lu Ming benefited from the environment. In this flame array, his true qi consumption was not great. Bang! After exchanging another blow with Lu Ming, the girl retreated and left the passage. Chimph, you win. I'm not going to fight with you. I'm exhausted. The young girl retreated a distance and sat on the ground. She was sweating profusely and gasping for breath. Lu Ming walked forward carefully and finally left the range of the array in the passage. As soon as Lu Ming left, the flames in the passage disappeared. Lu Ming did not go too far from the passage. He sat down cross-legged at the entrance of the passage. This way, if the girl attacked, he could escape into the passage immediately. Okay, I'm not going to fight with you. This time, you're lucky to have obtained such a great opportunity. The girl seemed to be very unwilling and gritted her teeth. Your harvest should be greater than mine, right? We're in the same boat, Lu Ming said with a smile. I spent a lot of effort to come in. You got a big advantage. So be it. I see that you're tired. Let's rest together. Don't sneak attack me, the girl said unhappily. I'm afraid that you'll sneak attack me. Lu Ming curled his lips. Then, the two of them circulated their true qi and adjusted their true qi. Of course, they paid attention to each other, afraid that the other party would suddenly attack. 3 hours later, the two of them stood up at the same time. You got a big advantage before, but let's see how you get it later. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.